Hi everyone, Jess here, and today I'm joined with Dara Brady from Ryanair. Thank you so much for joining me.
No problem, delighted to be here.
So firstly, how are we seeing innovative technologies change the future of marketing, and how are you responding to these to make sure you're on top of these, you remain proactive?
Well, I think probably, there's a big buzzword out there now, which is AI, and everyone that's going to sit down and talk to you is probably going to talk about it. But I think it's probably the one area that we're quite focused on in terms of, for lots of different reasons. I think its ability for content generation. I think its ability for streamlining quite manual operations tasks that most marketing departments would have had, so whether that's email content creation or email scheduling. I think where technology is going it's allowing teams to streamline processes, and then they're going to become much more hyper-personalised in terms of what they can send to customers. And I think where the technology plays this role is, I don't think that the traditional teams can get to the level of detail at scale that something like AI technology is going to allow teams to get to. So I think it's a very exciting time. I think a lot of departments or a lot of marketing organisations are fearful in some ways. It's like, what does that mean for me? What's AI going to mean for my job if I'm the graphic designer and there's an AI element coming into the workforce that can create images and write copy better than probably some of the people. I think that's going to be a challenge, and I think teams need to be able to adapt and find an operating rhythm to see how is that going to play a part in terms of how people do their jobs moving forward. But it's certainly going to allow for much more targeted, relevant approach, and I think it's going to extend that personalisation that everyone's been talking about for the last few years.
Absolutely, and you're completely right. There has been a real question mark around what does this mean for me, and assimilating these technologies into the day-to-day of work. So, of course, Ryanair's marketing is pretty infamous across worldwide. Why is brand building arguably more important than ever, and what are some key lessons you've learned along the way?
I think we've been very fortunate. We have a brand that is the least corporate brand that you're probably ever going to meet. We have a CEO that's been making headlines for the last 35 years, and I think our brand is a reflection of that. I think it extends itself now into not just our PR and communications, but into the likes of our social media channels. It's very much picking up on the same type of brand identity that we've had over a 30 to 35 year basis. So I think we have a very simple strategy, which is to make as much noise as possible so people take notice of us, and then low fares does the rest. So I think we're operating in a market that's very much a commodity. I think loyalty is driven by price. If you have low fares, well then you have something unique in the market, which we have and others can't compete with. So from a brand perspective, we're not trying to sell the product, it sells itself because of low fares. So all we have to do is create visibility around the brand, and we do that through, as I said, predominantly our PR, communications, small bit of spend, and a lot of social media, email marketing, and a lot of owned media.
Absolutely, and I know certainly in my generation, I know people who follow Ryanair who wouldn't follow any other airline, so that's something really unique about your branding.
Yeah.
And recently you've had a string of partnerships with OTAs. How do you envision this impacting customers, and what is the catalyst here?
Well, firstly, I think it's really good news for customers. I think we've long campaigned for transparency in the marketplace for customers. We felt that customers were being overcharged for our flights. There was a lot of OTAs that were taking our inventory from the website by scraping the website and reselling the inventory at higher prices. We weren't getting customer contact details, which meant if there was disruption, it was very difficult for us to manage customers in a way that was effective. So if your flight was schedule changed, if your flight was cancelled, if you're at the airport, we had no way of communicating with you because the contact information that we were receiving was not the customers. So and if your flight was cancelled, the payment details weren't the customers, so we were unable to issue refunds. So those three things of overcharging, no contact information and no payment information was a real pain point for customers. Our new agreements that we've done with our 14 OTA partners fixes that. We get, there's no overcharging. The price that you see is the price that you would get on Ryanair.com. We get your contact details, so if we need to send you information about your flight, we can do so, and we can also manage to pay refunds back to the customer in the case of if a flight is cancelled. So I think it's really good for customers in terms of transparency. I think it's a simpler user experience. There's no vagueness over is it Ryanair or is it the OTA? It's a very clear structure now, and I think the customer is the winner ultimately out of the new partnerships.
Absolutely, it sounds like these will translate into real tangible change in the passenger experience.
Yeah, I think we've seen it firsthand. We had a lot of frustrated passengers that they don't understand maybe that when they were making a booking that the contact information we got was not theirs. We're sending out emails and messages to an email address that doesn't exist saying don't forget to check in online. Customer doesn't get them, then they turn up at the airport and they're charged an airport check-in fee, and they're going, but nobody told me, this is unfair, and their experience was tainted by that, and subsequently Ryanair is at the face of it, so then we're getting a bad reputation when simply if the rules were followed and they got the information, there wouldn't have been an issue. So I certainly think that it'll certainly help remove friction that would have previously existed through the old way of doing things.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for
joining me.
No
problem,
today.
And thank you for having me. Great.